What's up, castaways, and good morning to everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It just snowed so much up here in British Columbia, so I am completely stuck indoors, made myself a nice pot of coffee, and I'm gonna dive into the Empress Echosystem today. Now, the Echosystem is probably the most fun I'm having with any of my pedals right now, because similarly to my reverb video, which if you haven't seen, check it out up there, I'm really finding myself diving deep into delay. Now, Empress were kind enough to send over the Echosystem to me, so thanks very much for that. But of course, they have no say over what I'm gonna say in this video. I wanna bring you guys my honest thoughts and what I think of the pedal here. So before we jump onto the front panel of the Echosystem and check it out, just wanna say, as always, if you like this video, consider liking, consider subscribing. If it's your first time here, welcome. We do tons of reviews, overviews, videos, tutorials, make music, everything to do with electronic music gear. You're in the right place. And yeah, thanks as always. Let's get started. The Echosystem is a dual engine delay with many different algorithms ranging from everything from pristine digital delay to some really crazy pitch delay, reverse delay, everything in between. Now, I think it sounds absolutely awesome on synths, so for the demo today, we're going to be using it with a patch I made on my Moog Sub 37. Let's jump on over there. All right, so here's the loop I've got going on my Sub 37. Sounds like this. Really nice, warm, spacious loop. Riffs like this are gonna work really well with a delay, just to kind of fill them out and really create a lot more interest and rhythmic movement and polyrhythms behind the actual main, very simple melody I'm doing. So let's mix in some of the digital delay here. So as you can see, that's totally out of time. So for the Echosystem, I know there is a way to sync MIDI through Empress's own little box or another box, but I do everything old school, tap tempo. There we go. The reason why I love tap tempo is it's never quite perfect, and therefore it creates a really nice, slightly behind or ahead of the beat vibe to it while still being completely rhythmically intact. So super quick overview of the pedal before we jump into what makes it special and how I use it. So you've got everything on the front panel here. So you've got your delay time, or in this case ratio to the time, because we tapped it in. So we can do straight eighth notes, dot eighth notes, some crazy stuff like golden ratio, triplets, everything in between. You've got your mix, 100% wet, 100% dry. And then right here, you've got a beautiful sounding VCA. Now you can even just use that as a gain boost if you ever have a signal that's quiet. It's such a nice sounding analog VCA. Anyway, moving on. Got our feedback. We can go to self oscillation territory here. Or really nice and short. You've got your tone here. So this is really handy if you want to shave off some of the bass frequencies for a nice thick riff like this. See how it's completely high pass now? Or vice versa, if you just want a nice murky, warm delay. But something I really appreciate about the Echosystem is that the parity mode right in the center sounds fantastic. It's colored ever so slightly based on each of the different algorithms, but it's not colored in the sense that it's too bassy or it's too high. I rarely have to tweak the tone knob is what I'm trying to say, which is a testament to how good the actual delays themselves sound. But it's there if you want it, and it's a useful tool. Now, probably the most fun part of the pedal, thing 1 and 2. Now, these two knobs, they vary on each of these many different algorithms. They do different things, and part of the joy of not having a screen is figuring out actually what they do. So for example, on our clean digital delay here, what they're going to do is they're going to add a sort of intensifying stereo detuning chorus effect. Listen to that width. Completely opens it up. We can go into like crazy detuned territory here too. Wild. And yeah, they change for every single one of these, so you can get some really fun experimentation just by having a loop playing like this in the background and messing with your front panel knobs here. Now at the bottom here, you have your bypass. You have your scrolling button for your preset system. Again, I don't use presets really for this pedal just because the hands-on control is so fun. But if you're a live performer, the preset system is pretty straightforward. And then you have your tap tempo button that we've already gone over. And then finally, the shift button, which allows you to do some certain things like syncing the delay engine tempos, changing and soloing different delays, all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, let's check out some of my favorite algorithms on here. Now there's dozens and dozens of them, and you know, we're not gonna be able to go over every single one of them because that would take forever, and Empress is constantly adding more, but I'll show you guys a couple of my favorite ones and you know, some of the ones that really make this pedal special. So I love the tape delay. So warm. It's one of the best sounding tape delay emulations I've ever heard. Really beautifully mixes in. Barely would have to do anything to that in a mix. It's already a really great sounding lead line. I also quite like the red analog delay. Now this one adds a bit of saturation in. Has that bucket brigade style delay. Now, as an owner of the Moog Matriarch, this sounds pretty damn close for an emulation. Again, one of the best sounding algorithms I've heard. Moving on to some of the more unique ones, I really love the reverse. So let me stop my loop for a second here. Now, reverse delay is one of those things that's quite hard to actually pull off, but Empress here have done a phenomenal job of really making it sound just lush and easy to use, and it reacts really well. This mode is a triggered reverse, so it has an envelope follower or something like that in there. So as I play this melody, really follows it nicely there. Some other really cool ones that I wanted to highlight is you've got a great lo-fi delay. Let's go back to our sequence here. Instant vibe. Lo-fi bit crush delay. Just sounds so good. And probably my favorite of the weird ones, there's a pitch shifting delay. We have dual delay lines here. I'm controlling one of them to make it low. Let's actually raise this loop up a little bit higher so we can hear. Here, you guys will hear better if I do this. So I'm going to have one of the delay lines is up high, one of them is down low. That paired with a reverb can create some really cool sparkly textures. Could have both of them up high. So cool. Now, this would already be on its own a really cool sounding pedal, but this is only half the pedal because the Empress is a dual delay, meaning you have exactly everything I've just showed you times 2. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to really get into why this pedal is not only versatile, but creative. So there's a couple different ways we can orient these dual engines. So as we tap this button here, you'll notice now there's 2 flashing lights. So let's get off of this crazy pitched one, and we're going to go into the digital delay. And now what you guys will hear is that we have 2 delays going on. If we want to solo shift, now we're only hearing 1. And if we want to switch the delay, now we're controlling the second delay. And in order to sync the time together, what we're going to do is we're going to hold tap and tap mode. And now we have 2 delays running in parallel mode. We can get some wild changes here. Let's change up the second one. Really cool stuff. Now, you can also run them in serial. That sounds like this. Or my absolute favorite, which is running them in left-right mode, which means one delay is going to come into your left speaker and one delay is going to come into your right speaker. And as you can probably imagine, this is where we can get some seriously cool stereo effects. Some stuff that honestly I've never really heard before, and it's inspired me in my music a lot to make some pretty wild sounding atmospheres and textures, which I'm going to be releasing some of these in my upcoming Patreon pack for the next month. So check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, that'll sound like this. Let's add some pretty interesting ones. Let's get a reverb in one ear. Try like a filtered one. Like, listen to that. We have a completely unique and interesting soundscape going on in our ears. Let's make one of these a pitched one. Put a bass line under that, mix in some of the dry signal. this is what we started with. I have it on buffered bypass mode so it doesn't cut out right away, but there you go. The most bare bones little plucky riff, and we've turned it with one pedal into this. Absolutely wild stuff. So for the final section here, I'm going to show you guys what the ecosystem would sound like in context of a song. So I'm using the same Moog patch with a different sequence, and we're going to record that in over top of a beat I made. I'm going to do as much live automation on the ecosystem as possible so you guys can get an idea of what the different algorithms sound like in context of a track. Hope you enjoy. So for some pros and cons, I think for the biggest pro right off the bat is the versatility of the ecosystem. So again, after playing around with this for a couple weeks, I'm just blown away that pretty much every single style of delay that you would want, the ecosystem can do not just a serviceable, but a really good approximation of. The tape delay ranks above many other actual dedicated tape delay plugins. I love it, I use it. It's probably my most commonly used mode on the ecosystem. The analog delay sounds fantastic, even when put next to my Moog Matriarch Real analog delay. The weird whiskey and lo-fi modes, reverse mode is one of the best. So yeah, biggest pro right off the bat is the versatility, the fact that this is really a jack of all trades delay pedal. As a second pro, the fact that it has no screen. Now I know this is a little bit divisive, but I personally love it. It makes it so that I have to be really intuitive with where I want to get my sound just by moving knobs rather than looking at parameters. I love stuff with no screens. It's something that I've really gravitated towards in the last couple years, as I've talked about lots on this channel, and the ecosystem is no different. The final pro, I think that the dual delay engine is just so unique in the left-right pan modes. Now I know there's a lot of different ways, in the DAW, for example, you could do 2 delay plugins from different manufacturers. I know there's other pedals that have multiple delay lines, but to my knowledge, I haven't at least found something that is as logically laid out to get two completely different delays that work together, sync to the same tap tempo in the left ear and the right ear, or even completely different tempos. I think the fact that you can have a smooth tape delay in your left ear and a crazy pitched whiskey delay in your right ear really makes for a pedal that can create some really experimental tones, even though it's probably more well known as just an all-around versatile pedal. So that left-right dual delay engine mode is so unique, and I have to give a huge shout out to Empress for that. On the con side, the cons, so first con right off the bat, it is a pretty expensive pedal for delay. I know this is around $449 new. That is a pretty hefty investment for, you know, what's essentially a delay pedal. So I would say that that's something to keep in mind. If you are looking for a more budget option, this probably wouldn't be it, but it does come with the looper and all the different algorithms. So it really would kind of be, you know, the one delay pedal that you'd only need if you have a couple different cheaper ones. Another con is that I did find myself wishing it had a traditional MIDI jack. Now the Empress Ecosystem does have the ability to sync to MIDI through essentially this sort of dongle that either Empress makes or different other companies make it for guitar pedals. But I'm a synth guy. All my stuff is in traditional 5-pin MIDI or USB MIDI, and I did find myself wishing that it had traditional MIDI. Other than that, I can't really think of any cons. It's honestly a great pedal. I'm going to be actually highlighting this pedal again in my delay pedal shootout video, just waiting for a couple more pedals to arrive. I'm really excited with the ones I've chosen for you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the Echosystem. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.